Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. I'm Damon Moglen. I'm with Friends of the Earth, and it's my pleasure to be emceeing, if you will, this press conference. Today, we're going to have a number of different speakers to speak with you. We're glad to have Donna Gilmore, who's the Communications Director for the local grassroots organization, San Onofre Safety. We have Dave Freeman here, who has run numerous power utilities. We have Arnie Gunderson, who is a technical expert, a nuclear engineer, who's written 3 reports, a number of which I'm sure you've all read. And then we also are glad to have Crystal Coleman here, who's a local mom who wants to talk about personal concerns. I'm here on behalf of Friends of the Earth to start with. As you know, we filed a legal petition this morning with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. So, as I think a number of you know, Friends of the Earth this morning filed a legal petition with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and a stay, calling for a stay on the restart of the San Onofre reactors. It's our contention that Edison sought to mislead the NRC about the design of these steam generators that have now proven defective, and that in turn they did an end run around NRC regulations and got this like-for-like exchange rather than going through a licensing amendment, which would have been a rigorous, demanding process that would have included an adjudicatory public hearing, which is also what we're calling for. And in turn, the NRC simply looked the other way. And we have a classic case, really, of the regulator asleep at the wheel. And we've seen what the outcome of that was. Extraordinary wear in these steam generators that cost ratepayers across this area over $671 million and endangered the lives and livelihoods of over 8 million people living within 50 miles of the San Onofre reactors. So I know my colleagues are going to be speaking more about that, so I'm going to step aside, but we do want to leave time for questions afterwards. So with that, I'll introduce you to Donna Gilmore. Donna, please.
Hi, my name is Donna Gilmore. I live in San Clemente, which is the closest town to San Onofre. And I got involved in being concerned about San Onofre when I read in the local Orange County Register that employees were being punished for reporting safety problems. I had always thought that a nuclear plant was going to be run as safe as possible with extra precautions because the consequences are so devastating, because it would wipe out my home and the community, the breadbasket of the nation. I mean, you know, it's a one-way deal. If that thing goes, there's no way back. You know, there's no fixing it. I got involved with a local whistleblower, electrical engineer, and he told me about problems unresolved for 10 years. He showed me how to use the NRC website, which is very hard to understand if you don't know what all those terms mean. And I put together a chart using 100% Nuclear Regulatory Commission data. Shows that San Onofre has 10 times more safety allegations, safety complaints from employees than any other nuclear plant in the entire United States. That got my attention. And I hope it gets your attention, and I hope you share this information with the public. And I want to thank Friends of the Earth for helping us with this effort. They're doing a wonderful job. 100% support what they're doing to help us here. The NRC hasn't been listening. Employees years ago warned them about the steam generator issues. When they get ignored, they actually get punished. San Onofre actually has the highest rate of retaliation against employees in the country for nuclear plants. And the kicker is we don't even need the energy. Every alphabet soup agency that's responsible for electricity in California has got us covered. There's not going to be blackouts. I've even read a 500-page transmission plan report myself. You know, I mean, you know, it's insane for anyone in California to have to live with this risk for nothing. The only advantage of that plant is it makes millions for Edison every day it's running. And if there was any other benefit to it, I wish somebody would please share that with me. And could somebody hand me a couple of lemons over there? These steam generators are lemons. If you buy a car that's a lemon, you get to give it back. We want to give these steam generators back. They're lemons. They're not fixable. We have experts, and finally the NRC is agreeing with our experts. These things aren't fixable, all right? So if you think steam generators, San Clemente, just think lemons, because that's about it. Nobody understands what the heck a steam generator is, but you all understand lemon laws. Okay? Thank you.
And our next speaker is Dave Freeman. Dave.
I've been in this business for over 50 years, and I think I probably know a lemon when I see one myself. This problem that we have started in 2006 when the Edison company applied to the NRC for permission to put in new steam generators. They claimed that the new ones were alike the old ones, and they did that so they could get rubber stamp approval without any public participation, without any trial where our experts could confront their experts, and they pretended that the new steam generators were no different than the old ones. That's how they were able to file under a process that didn't require a public hearing and a public trial and a license amendment. The NRC staff, which is pretty cozy with the utilities, I know that, used to be one, they approved it. There were no public hearings, nobody knew about it. But it was a different design. The guys at Edison Company crammed 400 more tubes into that steam generator to try to squeeze a little more power out of it, I think. And anyhow, they removed the cylinder that kept it solid, and it started shaking and rubbing up against each other, the tubes, and they wore out in 18 months when they were designed to last 40 years. Now, the whole process from 2006 to this very day has been in the dark, without public participation, without our experts being able to confront their experts. And we had no choice to take the extraordinary step of filing a legal petition with the NRC that simply asked them to enforce their own rules. If the proper rules had been complied with, the new design would have been scrutinized. They would have found out that they used the wrong model. They would have found out that the new design wouldn't work, and we wouldn't have this mess. But they didn't. They tried to take a shortcut, and the NRC staff participated in it. Now what we have this evening is the same crowd of folks that approved this thing in the dark have been kept us in the dark for the last almost 5 months, and they're coming here this evening taking judgment over what they did themselves. So we got the same crowd coming here this evening to try to tell us why this thing is a gosh awful mess. And for that reason, we feel that what's going to go on this evening is a sham. It's, you know, I know the difference between a show and tell and a real trial where you have a judge and a jury and where you have cross-examination and where we can confront their witnesses and they can confront ours. That hasn't gone on. That's why we filed a petition with the NRC to ask that they simply require that to happen before they restart this reactor. Thank you.
Next we have Arnie Gunderson. Arnie, please.
Hi, I'm Arnie Gunderson. It is crystal clear. It is crystal clear to me that if Edison had played by the rules back in '06, we wouldn't be here today. And by that I mean this process that Dave Friedman was just discussing. If they had complied with that, the problems that they've encountered would have been identified. Now, Edison decided to game the system. What they did was before they had the design done, they determined that the design was going to be like for like. In fact, there were enormous changes inside those steam generators that made it anything but a like-for-like swap out. It's sort of like, think of a Mack truck and Harry Potter throwing his invisibility cloak over it and then claiming that underneath there is a Mini Cooper. Well, that's what Edison was trying to do. They were trying to disguise a Mack truck as a Mini Cooper. And what happened is we're here today as a result. I'm sure that the NRC would have caught the design problems that we're seeing today. Just a couple. The people that made this generator, Mitsubishi, had never built a generator like this before. So all of their computer codes were designed for another manufacturer's steam generators. The net effect of that and all of the other design problems that we encountered were the failures we see today. Now, make no mistake, this is not just a leak, we can shut it down, fix it. This is a safety problem. And what can happen in a case where the steam generator tubes are weak is something called a steam line break accident, in which many of those tubes fail. And that's actually in the plant's emergency plan. This is an accident that's analyzed and would require an evacuation. So this is not like what happened on January 31st. This is not an issue of one tube leaks, we shut it down, and the public's not at risk. These changes put the public at risk. And I would agree with Dave Friedman. Now we're asking the same people who missed the fact that the Mack truck was there and we're calling it a Mini Cooper, the same people that missed this, the NRC, to now give us a feeling of security going forward that it's safe. I think we need an adjudicatory process, and I look forward to testifying in front of it. Thank you.
And then I'd like to call Crystal Coleman up, who's a mom from Vista. Crystal.
Hello, my name is Crystal Coleman. I live in Vista, which is just east of Oceanside, about 26 miles away from San Onofre Nuclear Power Plant. I'm a mother. I have 3 daughters. Louder. I'm a mother. I have 3 daughters, and I just really found out about the dangers of nuclear power a couple months ago, starting when the leaks were happening with the tubes. And the more that I look into it, the more shocked and horrified I am that this has been allowed to go on in my own backyard for so long. And now I feel like I have to speak for my children so that this isn't the legacy that we leave to them. Our children are our future, and if they can't breathe the air or eat the food or drink the water, then they have nothing at all. And it is our responsibility to stand up for them, to defend their lives. I've been trying to find out what the evacuation plans are for the county of San Diego, and there really aren't any. The evacuation plans that I've read so far say to turn on your television and listen to what they tell you and go in the direction that they tell you to go. And that's it. And I feel like if they're going to ask us to take these kinds of risks, to risk everything that we love, to risk the futures of our children, that they owe us some guarantees of safety. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm speaking out for my children.
Thank you, Crystal. Okay. If anybody has questions, we'd be happy to take questions. We're also here, obviously, during the public meeting. We'd be happy to answer any of the questions. But does anybody have a question they'd like to ask right now?
Yeah, I do. Did Edison do a failure mode effect analysis, an FMEA, which is a engineering procedure to validate the process and to validate the equipment?
Arnie, do you want to try to address that?
because this process is done. No, Edison. To the best of my knowledge, Edison did not do any of the things that one would expect. But you have to remember that none of this information is public. What happens is Edison keeps it in a drawer, the NRC comes in and looks at it and puts it back in the drawer. So this information is not in the public document room. Because the process fell under these regulations that we're trying to get overturned, public evaluations of the actual analysis are essentially meaningless.
Okay, any questions from any of the news media?
Well, do you have any examples of nuclear power plants that have gone through the relicensing process correctly, where they changed their steam generators?
Arnie, do you want to?
That's never happened.
No, that's not.
That's never happened.
No.
Do you want to repeat?
Yeah, the question was, do we have any examples of steam generator modifications that have gone through the process that we are suggesting here? And the answer is that no one has tried to do what Edison did. They really have been like-for-like modifications in the past. So there have been no public adjudicatory steam generator replacement modifications. There have been many public adjudicatory processes for power upgrades, but not for steam generator modifications.
How long might that process take if they do it?
It would have taken Edison about 18 months, so it would not have delayed the installation of these generators. If they had started in 2006, they had about an 18-month process that had they played by the rules, they likely would have gotten through. But during that process, my position is that the NRC would have found these problems. That would have required rebuilding those steam generators before they were ever installed. So when they got to San Onofre, they would no longer have been the failure-prone devices we see now.
Yes, please.
If you think that this is a chance to, what do you hope to gain from being here tonight? Discussion.
Well, we're actually here because we've just filed legal documents demanding that the NRC conduct a real process, that we believe that they do not have the license amendment they need to have, and that is, Mr. Freeman has said, we see this as a sham process. As you members of the media know, there have not been documents provided. There's no serious information that's being divulged. In fact, in statements coming from the NRC right now, they're saying, well, we're still in the middle of this process. Edison still hasn't provided documentation. I mean, we're in a ludicrous situation in which the public is very anxious about what's happening here. We've had a radiation leak at this plant and new equipment, and yet the company involved and the regulator involved are not providing the necessary information. And that's why we're filing these papers demanding a transparent, serious process and an adjudicatory public hearing. So we're here to call for that, and that's why we're here. Is there someone else who had a question?
Do you know if it's true that Disney owned by some stake
I don't know about whether or not Disney owns any part of Southern California Edison. No. Anybody else? Any other questions from the media? I know that people want to get inside to the hearing, so, or I should say the public meeting. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming this evening. We look forward to speaking with you again. Bye-bye now.